What's up YouTube, it's your boy M8trix21 and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a deep dive into one of horror's most iconic killers, Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. From comments to convention exclusives, we're breaking down every Jason Funko Pop, the variations, and what I like to see next from the line. So grab your machete, hit that like button, and let's return to Camp Crystal Lake. Let's go. So starting things off, we have the original Jason Voorhees Funko Pop. This was released in 2011, and it does have a couple different variations of it. This indeed was a common Funko Pop, but either way it goes, this set the tone for what we will get in the future because this was the #1 in the Funko Movies line. So the first movie Funko Pop, we're over 1,000 now, was this guy right here, Jason Voorhees. I like this pop a lot. This was a very simple pop, very simplistic design that we got from earlier Funko Pops. But he did have a machete in his hand. He did have the hockey mask on. They have a little bit of drip on him. But there was a few variations of this pop that kind of hit. This pop did have a chase 1 in 36, and this is one that you had to have in the collection. But let's move on to some of these variations of this original Jason Voorhees Funko Pop. So like I said, starting off, we have the chase. He did have a 1 in 36 chase, and it did have a couple variations of it. I don't think it was meant to be that way, but it did end up having some variations. You had a teal version, a blue version, and a green version, all glowed in the dark. And that glow was just different. I don't know exactly why they decided to go that route. And I don't think they intentionally did that. It just happened that way. On the older ones, you did have that bigger font. And then as you got later on in the line, they kept reprinting them. The font went down to the regular size, the smaller font. And then this pop did appear in two other 2-packs, a regular one and a box lunch exclusive bloody version of him with him and Freddy Krueger. So you do get this pop in a couple different variations. I think it's dope. I think it's cool. That chase is still worth a lot of money and I don't have it in my collection. But I do have this common in my collection, one with the small font, and it looks really dope in my opinion. So as the original, I think it was pretty cool. So moving on to the second Jason Voorhees Funko Pop, we have the unmasked version that was exclusive to San Diego Comic-Con in 2015. This did have only 1,008 pieces, and it looks crazy, man. This thing looks super dope. The no mask on it, just his unmasked face with one eye lopsided, the other one, I don't know. It just looks dope in my opinion. Like I said, this is the unmasked one, limited to just 1,008 pieces. I think this is the most rare version of Jason Voorhees you can get. I don't even think the chases, unless one of those chases were a little bit from the original, were a little bit more rare. But I think this is the most rare you can get. This is a pretty expensive pop, and it's really dope, man. This is one I didn't even know existed until I started making this video, and I think it's pretty cool. So this version of Jason did come from Jason Friday the 13th, the final chapter. As you can see right here in this picture, it looks almost just like him. Only thing they could have did different was put a little bit of blood splatter on him. But this was him running around with that mask off for a second. And that's what they decided to go with the Funko Pop. I think they did a good job representing him. And I think this is a really cool one from a movie that was pretty decent. Not the best Friday the 13th in my opinion, but still was a pretty decent one. And I think they did a really good job representing him in this Funko Pop form. But like I said, Friday the 13th, the final chapter, that's where you got this Funko Pop from. Limited to 1,008 pieces. To me, that's just incredible that they had a pop that limited for Jason. I didn't know they did. But either way it go, I think it's pretty cool. So next up, we got a 2-for-1. We have the 8-bit duo. We have the regular version and the NES version. Both released in 2017. And the regular was a common, and the NES version was exclusive to GameStop. Both of them are dope. Both of them are cool. I'm not the big 8-bit fan as far as Funko Pop goes, but if I was to pick any 8-bit up, I think this would be it. Like I said, I never played the original NES game, but I heard it was really good. I heard it was kind of hard. But at the end of the day, I think it's pretty dope that they decided to go that route and give Jason an 8-bit Funko Pop. I'm glad they don't do 8-bits anymore because I just didn't like the 8-bit pops. But like I said, in my opinion, this was the best 8-bit pop they did create. From a video game, and we will see another Jason from a video game a little bit later, but this is one that's pretty cool. Like I said, this is an NES version of him. As you can see from the graphics in the background, I think that was pretty cool as well, that they kind of made it look almost exactly like that version of Jason. I thought he was only in that kind of blue form in the game. I can't remember correctly, but then having his regular colors and the NES colors, I think it was pretty dope, making the NES one exclusive to GameStop. It made sense. It just made a lot of sense. So let me know in the comments if this is your favorite version of them. To me, it's not, because I just don't like 8-bit pops. But at the end of the day, I think this is pretty dope, and they did a good job with this one. The 8-bit from the NES game that dropped way back in the day. But like I said, these dropped in 2017, and they're pretty cool. So moving on, we have the bag mask Jason Voorhees. This is the first appearance of Jason Voorhees other than him jumping out of the lake. So this would be Friday the 13th Part 2, when he had the bag on his face before he got that mask, the iconic hockey mask. This released in 2018, and it was a Walgreens exclusive. Definitely one of my favorite ones that I don't have in my collection. I only have the original one. I have this bad boy right here. This is one I want to get in my collection. Like I said, Walgreens exclusive. We don't get Walgreens exclusives anymore for whatever reason, but to me, this was dope. This is cool. This is Jason, and a lot of people probably don't even know he had the bag mask, but I do, and diehard fans know as well that he appeared in the second movie with this bag mask on. So yeah, so like I said, Friday the 13th Part 2 is where you got that bag mask from, and they did a really good job with him. The bag looks pretty cool. Not 100% accurate, but at the end of the day, it still is dope. He has that pickaxe in his hand, and his clothes are pretty close. Pretty close. Is it, like I said, exactly right? No. But is it close enough? Definitely. And I think it's pretty cool. I like the way it looks. Definitely one of my favorites. And I just don't have this in the collection for whatever reason. But one day I will get it in my collection. I think this is dope. I think this fits the iconic character pretty correctly. And I like it. Now moving on to some of these next pops. I think they're a little bit better. Well, some of them. But this one was pretty iconic. And they had to do them in that direction. I think they had to do it. So moving on, we have the imposter, Roy Burns. And I'm gonna let you know, this is the first time I ever watched the Friday the 13th movie, and that's pretty sad, I know. It wasn't a real Jason, but at the end of the day, it's okay. This Roy Burns, released in 2020. This was a Hot Topic exclusive. I had this in my collection at one point, and I got rid of it, and now I kind of want it again. It was him with the blue suit on, with the blue chevrons on the mask, and I thought it was a dope pop overall, Hot Topic exclusive, but I just decided to move on from this in my collection. At the time, I didn't know if I wanted to keep collecting horror pops, but this is one that I should have held on to. So this is from Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. In a lot of people's eyes, one of the worst ones, I think. Like I said, it wasn't really Jason, and a lot of people kind of look at this one as a movie that kind of sparked the end of Jason kind of going downhill. But I think it was pretty dope to actually get this pop made. Had to make it because it's in the history of Friday the 13th, so you had to do something with it. But at the end of the day, not my favorite either. It's just not my favorite. Either way I go, I still think it's a dope pop. But Roy Burns, you ain't really Jason, dog. You ain't Jason at all. But let me know how you feel about this pop being made. Do you like this pop? Or do you like this movie at all? Let me know in the comments down below. So moving on, we have the more current one, the Jason Voorhees from the Jason universe. For whatever reason, I'm pretty sure it's a licensing thing. They didn't put Friday the 13th on this box at all. They put the Jason universe. And I think this is a really cool pop. It looks amazing. I love the way they did it with the axe, the blood, the mask, the slim build of him, and the way he looks. Definitely a really cool pop overall, and I'm glad that I decided to pick this bad boy up. And I'm glad I decided to make it. But this one was exclusive to Hot Topic and the Scare Fair. And I had to pick it up. Definitely one of my favorite ones from the Scare Fair for 2025. I'm glad they're still making Jason pops to this day. And this is the most current one as of right now, and I like it. Like I said, this version of Jason, if I'm not mistaken, appeared in Friday the 13th Part 3. It was a little confusing to me because I thought maybe 3, probably 4, but I think definitely this was Part 3. Just looking at the eyes from the picture here, I think this is definitely the one. But like I said, I definitely like this. I like this movie poster right here. That's a dope one as well. And it's just, to me, this to me is the most iconic look for Jason. It matches him perfectly. The mask is on point. He's not the zombie version of him yet. He's just a crazed Hulk of a man killer. And I think this is dope. I think it really fits him. The only thing I would say is they could have made the mask a little bit dirtier, a little bit more rough, but you can always buy one and customize it. You know what I mean? But now let's move on to the newest one that hasn't dropped yet, but will be dropping pretty soon. This is the Savini Jason Voorhees, and this is from the Jason Voorhees video game. They gave Tom Savini the freedom to create his own version of Jason. And if you don't know Tom Savini, Google him. That man's a legend in horror movies, a legend in makeup and all that stuff. Dude's a legend. And just seeing this pop being made to me was amazing. It came out of nowhere. I didn't know they was making this pop. Then I saw it and I was like, Savini Jason, definitely need it. 2025, this is common, so you should be able to pick this up in numerous locations. Like I said, Tom Savini, this is his character design. It's in the latest Friday the 13th game, which is kind of dead now, which is unfortunate. licensing issues, you know how it goes, unfortunately. But end of the day, this is really dope. Like I said, Friday the 13th game, this is cool. It fits the character very well. Looks exactly like him. And I'm just glad this pop was made. This is one, it needs like an orange glow to it. It needs an orange glow, but it doesn't. Either way it go, I think this pop's on point. One of my favorites to ever be created. And I just can't wait to get this in hand. I already pre-ordered it. If you haven't pre-ordered this, go to Amazon. You can get it from there. But definitely a nice pop. I think it doesn't release to January, so you gotta wait a few months. But at the end of the day, this is a pop that you want to have in your collection. If you're a horror fan, if you're a Friday the 13th fan, Tom Savini, I need to get it signed by him one day. But like I said, this is a Tom Savini version of him from the video game. Second video game pop we saw today, so pretty cool. And last but not least, I want to talk about a couple pops that I want to see made from Jason. These pops haven't been made yet, and they may not end up being made just because, like I said, licensing issues or whatever. And then some of these movies didn't do well, performed very well at the box office, so that kind of overshadowed. Of course, like Jason Takes Manhattan. We're not gonna get pops from that. Thought it was a cool movie at the time, but it was weird. I don't know if we want to get a wet Jason pop because dude looked wet the whole movie. But let's talk about a couple of them that I do want to see get made. One in particular, the number one, would be Jason X. We need a Jason X pop. I remember when Jason X came out, and this pop, he was just crazy. And this dude was huge, crazy, had the nanites. I mean, once you know what happens. When your horror movies get crazy, you take them to space or you take them to the hood. And they took Jason to space in this one. I think this AI generated pop I made was pretty dope as well. Kind of fits what the character looks like. And I think Funko will do a better job than this is. But at the end of the day, I think this is a really dope pop overall. Now, wouldn't mind getting this in hand, seeing how cool it is. And I like it. I like it a lot. So maybe in the future we can get a Jason X pop. And last but not least, one other pop I want to see get made is the zombie version of Jason. I know it wasn't the best version of him. I know it's not. Most people don't really. I know some people just really don't like the zombie version of Jason. But I think this would be dope. It's part of the history of Jason, and I think it'd be cool. So we get zombie Jason from Friday the 13th, The New Blood. I think it'd be dope, man. If we can get that made, it's pretty cool. I have an AI version of him right here, which is, I think this looks a little bit too realistic. Doesn't look really like a Funko Pop, enough like a Funko Pop, but if you can get somewhat close to that, I think it'd be dope. I mean, I think they can really do a good job with this one, and I like it a lot. So if we can get a zombie version of Jason from Friday the 13th, The New Blood, I think it'd be dope. I think it'd be pretty cool. So that's every Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th pop ever created, from his bloody beginnings to his 8-bit days to what we have now with the Savini Funko Pop. Let me know how you feel about that in the comments. Which one is your favorite? To me, the Savini one will end up being my favorite, but as of right now, this is probably my favorite. This is probably my favorite. But if you enjoyed this somewhat deep dive, not really a deep dive, just an explanation of all the Jason Funko Pops, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell as well so you never miss a video. And we may just do Michael Myers next. It is almost Halloween, so if you want to see me do Michael Myers, let me know in the comments down below. But that's all I got for you on this one. Stay spooky. Peace.